Hi there, my name is Mark from Apicultural, and today I'm going to show you how to make a perfect pollinators window box. Instructions to make this window box are available on my website www.apicultural.co.uk. Go to the Planting for Bees flower pages and scroll down the page till you find Perfect for Pollinators window box. Click on the link and you can download the instructions as a PDF, which you can print off at home or view on your computer or your iPad or smartphone. And it tells you step by step how to make a window box that's good for bees and other pollinators, and it gives you a list of suitable plants that you can include in your window box. Today I'm going to show you how to make a couple of different window boxes. I'm going to start off with a really simple window box. We've got our window box or trough here. First of all, we're going to make sure we've got some holes in our window box. So I've made some holes in the bottom. You can either buy a box that's got holes pre-drilled into it, or you can make holes yourself. You can either use a pair of scissors or a sharp knife, or if you've got a drill at home, you can use a drill with a drill attachment and drill some holes in there. Drainage is really important for our window box plants because we don't want them to become waterlogged, and some plants, if they get their feet really wet, they will rot off and they'll die. So drainage is very important. So we've got our window box with some holes in it. We're going to put a little bit of grit in the bottom of our window box. This is going to help with drainage. And once we've done that, it's then time to add our compost. And the compost I'm going to use today is a mixture of a soil-based John Innes compost with a little bit of sheep's wool compost and some multi-purpose wood-based, sort of organic food waste-based compost. I like to use a John Innes soil-based compost for my window boxes because, particularly if I'm using perennials, the reason for that is that they release nutrients much slower than the sort of organic material-based composts, which give the plants sort of, like a big sort of boost of feed early on, but then they very quickly deplete and dry out and become poor, and then you have to add chemical fertilisers, organic fertilisers to them to sort of keep them supporting your plants. But if you use a soil-based compost, they kind of last a lot longer and they tend not to dry out so much. So I've got my compost here, I've already mixed it. So this, like I said, this is a mixture of John Innes compost, some sheep's wool compost, which is really good, has really good moisture retaining properties, so it helps stop the compost drying out. It's also got some nutrients and feeds for plants. The wood chip sort of general purpose compost bulks it out a little bit. And I've also added a little bit of sharp grit and some sharp sand. Now I normally plant my perfect pollinator window boxes up in the autumn, and the reason I do that is if you plant your plants in the autumn, they've got all autumn and winter to settle into the pots and to get their roots out and establish, and then you get an earlier and a better display of flowers come spring. But if you plant in the autumn, it also gives you the opportunity to plant some spring bulbs. So the types of spring bulbs I like to use in my pollinator window boxes are things like muscari, crocuses, chenodoxa, squill, dwarf tete-a-tete daffodils, dwarf tulips and crocuses. So you start off with, you put your bulbs, you start off with your big bulbs, so let's just use some bits of gravel, pretend these are bulbs. You put a little bit of compost in your trough, and you'd put your daffodil and your tulip bulbs into the compost first. So they want to be quite deep. Then you'd add a little bit of compost on top, and then you'd add some more bulbs. So you'd add your muscari, your squill, your crocuses, a little bit of compost again, and then on the top, just about an inch or so under the surface of the soil, you'd put your anemone tubers, snowdrops, things like that, because they like to be close to the surface. So you lay your bulbs like it's lasagna, like you're cooking a lasagna. Okay, so some of the plants that I'm going to put in my window box today are some mossy saxifrage. This is the Peter Pan type saxifrage. Pretty pink flowers, really attractive to small soldier bees like Glacioglossum, yellow-faced bees, and some of the Halictus bees. Do a little bit more compost in there, I think, first. I'm also going to put in there some Abretia, some pink, purpley pink Abretia. This is a really early flowering trailing plant that's really attractive for some of the small soldier bees, some of the honeybees, bumblebees, flower bees, things like it as well. It's also quite good for butterflies. So I'm going to put some of those, then I'm going to plant a little cluster of them together. There. I'm going to put some Saxifraga Peter Pan there. I'm going to plant a little drift of those, because these are quite small plug plants. I'm going to plant them close together. I've also got some Thrift, which is a maritime seaside plant. It's very hardy, grows well in windswept, exposed conditions, tolerates the sun, forms lovely mats of foliage, grassy foliage, which get covered in pink blooms. So I'll put them in. I'm also going to put in some creeping thymes. Lovely low growing plant, forms a little carpet of vegetation, also gets covered in pinky purple flowers, which bees love. So I'm going to put them in, and then I'm going to put in some cowslips. I've got some cowslips here. These are some cowslips I grew from seed last year. Put them in. There. And I've got some primroses as well. We can put some primroses in there. And these are all fairly early flowering varieties I'm putting in here. So I want something a little bit later flowering. I could put something like a maiden pink in. I've got some maiden pinks here, which I grew from seed. These were seeds I collected from the Olympic Park last year and grew at home, and they're nice and big now. I could put them in there. They would flower later in the summer and create a bit of late summer colour. I could also put in some Mexican fleabane in there, Rigoron. It's got little white daisy type flowers, very attractive for small soldier bees like Halictus, Elasiglossum and Caletes bees. You could put alpines in there. These are some alpines that I've been growing. They would do quite well in there. I've got some small carnations here, alpine carnations. This particular carnation, I can't remember the variety, it's a plant that I've had for about 7 or 8 years, and I keep taking cuttings from it, and it propagates really easy. It's very drought tolerant, gets covered in deep pink, very sweetly scented flowers, which the bees really like. Other things you could put in there, you could put some snapdragons in there. So these are some snapdragons, some antivinums, which I've been growing. If you put them in there, they would flower later in the summer when most of our spring flowers are finished. You could also pop nasturtium seeds in there, and they would grow out and trail over. That would extend the interest in your window box into late summer and right through into autumn when the first frosts kill them off. If you had a slightly bigger window box, so now I've got all my plants planted in my window box. What I'm going to do next is put a little bit of gravel on top of the compost around the plants. This is just to suppress any weeds and act like a mulch and help retain the moisture and stop the soil from drying out. Also, a lot of the plants I'm using in this window box are alpines, and they don't like dampness around their feet, so they do a bit of gravel works quite well around them. So I'm just going to like that. Once you plant it up, I'm going to water it, give it a really thorough watering. You want to give your plants a really, really good soaking. Even though the compost might appear moist and the plants aren't dry, give them a really good watering in, because it's really important that first water that you give them a really good drenching, and then pop it on your window box and let the bees enjoy it. My next window box, I'm going to do a slightly different plant combination. This is a bigger window box, deeper window box, slightly bigger plants that need a bit more space. And I'm going to start off with some oregano, oregano vulgare, wild majorum. Really useful culinary herb. You can use it in Italian cooking, Asian cooking, curries, things like that. Smells lovely, gets covered in pale pink flowers, flowers from late spring right through summer into early autumn. One of the top plants for bees and one of the plants with the highest nectar production. It's also really great for butterflies. Up to at least nine different types of butterflies will visit oregano flowers to feed on, compared to bloodlear, which attracts about half as many. So start off by putting the oregano in there. That will form a big mass and trail, and it will cover the whole that corner of that window box. I'm then going to put in a dwarf lavender. This is a dwarf lavender called Little Lottie, very attractive bee for bees. I'm going to pop that in the middle, I think there. It's got lovely little blue flowers on it. I'm going to put some thyme in there. Thyme is another plant that's really useful for bees. Gets covered in little pinky purple flowers. Very, very drought tolerant. Will hardly need any watering at all. I'm going to put that in the corner there, and it will grow and form a little bush in that corner. I'm then going to put in a campanula. This one is a white one, but you can get them in blues and pinks and all different colours. Put that in there. These campanulas are great because they're really attractive to bumblebees. Honeybees will visit them. There's some little soldier bees called the campanula scissor bee, which feed only on campanulas. This is quite a useful plant for them. And these are quite good campanulas because they sucker and they run, and they form a big clump, and you can lift them up and divide them quite easily. So I'm going to put that there. I've got another type of campanula here, which is a blue flowered campanula. This is a trailing campanula, and there's lots of different types of trailing campanula. I'm going to plant this trailing campanula at the back here. Put that in there. And then, let me see, I've got some Echium bluebedder. This is a relative of Viper's bugloss, which is one of the best plants for bees. And this is an annual type of bugloss. And I'm going to plant this in the window box because this will flower pretty quickly and get plumes of blue flowers on it, which are highly attractive to bees and butterflies. And it will provide a lot of interest in the first year, and it'll provide some interest whilst the other plants are establishing and growing. So I'm going to put that in here. Put that there. Not put that in the middle. Put that there. And then last, I'm going to put some bugloss in. So this is bugle, a juga. It's a creeping perennial, lovely pretty blue flowers, very attractive to bees. Honeybees like it, bumblebees like it, lots of little soldier bees like it. I'm going to put that at the front there, I think, where it can sort of trail and hang over the edge and look pretty. And I think I'm going to put some pansies in. I've got some viola here. These are Viola Hannah May, which is a really nice little sweet scented pansy with pale cream and yellow flowers. It's very good for bumblebees and honeybees. I'm going to put them in, again, these are annuals. I'm going to put them in to use them as fillers, just to fill out the box until the other plants establish and take up the space. I'm going to pop some of those in there. And I'm also going to put some bird's foot trefoil in. I've got some bird's foot trefoil here, lovely yellow flowers, pea-like flowers. It's related to clover, very attractive bee plant. We'll put that there and it can trail over that edge. Put that there. And then we'll fill around the spaces with some more compost. I think I'm going to put a few antirrhinums in here, a few snapdragons in here as well, just to fill out the box a little bit and provide a bit of late season colour and interest. Because these will flower later on in the year. I've grown these from seed and they're going to take a while to reach flowering. So that's my second bee-friendly, pollinator-friendly window box. Also using lots of culinary herbs, lavender, rosemary, thyme, oregano and thyme, which you can use in cooking as well, or use for making like herb patches to put on your pillow and in your closet, freshen your clothes. Window box number 3. So here I've got a much bigger window box, bigger trough. This is not really a window box, this is more like a sort of a trough that you could put on a balcony or a roof terrace, something like that, or on your doorstep. And sort of bigger plants, you can put bigger plants in this. So in this one I'm going to put some catmint, some nepeta. This is a nepeta that I've grown from cuttings from a plant that I found growing on a green roof of the city of London. It grows in very dry conditions. It's a very, very hardy plant. It's what I call a survivor plant. So I've took lots of cuttings from it and propagated them. I'm going to use that. That will form a big mass of lovely blue flowers that will flower from sort of now right through till about July time. If you cut it back once it's finished flowering, give it a good watering and a feed, it'll come back in September and put on another flush of flowers and feed the bees right through till autumn. Absolute magnet for bees, in my opinion, better than lavender for bees. Attracts more variety of bees than lavender, has a longer flowering period than lavender, and most importantly it flowers earlier in the summer before lavenders are out and before the trees and things are flowering, and it flowers after the trees are flowering as well. Lavender tends to flower in sort of July time, which in London coincides with the flowering of lime trees and tree of heaven and false acacia and things like that. So lavenders very seldom get visited by bees in some parts of London because there's lots of trees in flower which are sort of more profitable and more attractive to the bees. But the catmint has a long flowering season and will attract lots and lots of bees, whilst the lavenders next door to them are getting ignored. So top plant for bees, great for butterflies and moths as well. I'm going to put a catmint in there. I'm going to put a geum in there, so I've got a geum there. I'm going to put a geum in there, and I'm also going to put some geranium. So this is a geranium roseanne. Geranium roseanne was in scientific trials was the top plant for bees, the best performing plant for bees in a 6-year plant trial. It's a sterile hybrid, so it can't produce seeds, and because it can't produce seeds it keeps on trying to flower, and it just flowers its head off all summer from May, June right through to first frosts, and produces tons of nectar. It's very, very attractive to bees. It's one of the best plants for solitary bees in particular. So these were plants I bought as small plugs. They're going to take a while to grow, but eventually they would grow quite big and they would really fill out this trough. So if I was growing a big plant I would just put one plant in there, but because they're small I might put two in. So that's sort of one option. If you had a shady balcony or shady patio or terrace where you wanted to put some bee-friendly plants that were good in shade, my recommendations for shade-loving plants would be geums, geranium roseanne, very good in shade. You could also put heucheras in. Heucheras are quite nice foliage plant. They retain their colour and foliage interest all year round. They come in lots of different colours. There's one particular one called flower carpet which has very, very lovely bright green leaves and gets covered in sort of tall spikes of Barbie pink flowers, which is particularly good for bees. And I found that geranium roseanne, heuchera, flower carpet work quite well together. You could also put things like wallflowers in. This is a regular bedding wallflower. The best wallflowers to put in your bee-friendly window boxes would be wallflower bowls mauve. It's an everlasting wallflower, lovely palmer violet, purple flowers, and it will live. It's a short-lived perennial. It will live for 3 or 4 years, but it will flower its head off, and it flowers virtually all year round. It's often known as suicide plant because it just flowers itself into oblivion. But it's really, really good bee-friendly plant. Flowers all throughout the year. It's not the most attractive plant for bees, but it's one of those sort of marathon plants that provides food over a long, sustained period. Whereas a lot of the other plants we're putting in our window boxes are what you call sprint plants. They sort of grow quickly and they flower for a brief period and then they die down again until the following year. But wallflowers bowl mauve is a marathon plant that will flower throughout the year, provide food for bees all year round. My next selection I'm going to put in this pot here is I've got some geraniums. So this is geranium sanguineum, which is a lovely native geranium. Grows in often grows in dune slacks and calcareous grasslands. Lovely pink flowers on it, and really attractive to native pollinators. I'm going to put some achillea in there as well. So I've got some achillea. Achilleas are very good for hoverflies and some of the pollinating beetles, but they're also attractive to some of the really small soldier bees like Caletes davazanius, it's a Davies mining bee, which likes those really small, simple composite flowers. You could also put leucanthemum in there. We've got some leucanthemum here. These leucanthemum are a bit big for this pot, but leucanthemum would work quite well in a large pot. And you could put geums and things in there as well, and that would look quite nice. Things like chives also work quite well in a window box if they've got a bit of space. You get some nice tall pink blossoms on them. So there we have 4 different examples of a bee-friendly window box, perfect for pollinators. Couple of tips when you're planting up your pollinator window box. Avoid highly bred, chubby, double bloomed flowers, and avoid things like these pelargoniums. They're hardy, they're drought tolerant, they look nice, they're relatively pest free, but they're a really poor choice for pollinators. In scientific trials by Sussex University, pelargoniums were the worst, least attractive garden plant to bees in their 5-year study. They were 100 times worse than the next poorest plant for bees that they trialled. If you'd like to have a go at making your own perfect for pollinators window box during the lockdown, you might struggle to get hold of plants because lots of garden centres are currently closed. But you can still get compost and plants mail order from some suppliers, and some garden centres are doing home deliveries. Today the plants that I've used have come from Rosy Bay Nurseries. They supply the plants in these large plugs. They're called maxi plugs. They're quite big, well established plants, lots of roots on them, will flower in the first year. They're a specialist plants for pollinator supplier. They grow their plants in peat-free organic compost. They don't use any pesticides, so they're perfect for bees and other pollinators, and their plant trays are biodegradable vegetable starch. They're not plastic, so they're plastic free. Really good environmental company. Other plants I've used today have come from J. Parker Bulbs, which are mail order catalogue. They supply bulbs and plants mail order. They come in small their plants come in small plugs like this. They're very cheap. These cost about 60 pence each, but you have to buy them multiples of 10. Very cheap. Very easy. They're British grown. I have in the past spoken to J. Parkers and asked them how they grow their plants, and they assure me that they only use harmful pesticides that are harmful to bees. As a last resort, they practice integrated pest management. They try where possible to use biological control measures, so they don't routinely use pesticides. So they're not 100% pesticide free, but they don't use a lot of pesticides. So they're, you know, if you push to get plants, get them from them, because at least they're honest and upfront about what they've used on their plants. Other plants I've used today were grown here in the St Mary's Secret Garden in Hackney. If you live close to Hackney during the lockdown, St Mary's Secret Garden is currently closed to the public, but they do still currently have plants available for sale, and they can do home deliveries. To learn more about how you can help bees and other pollinators, visit my website www.apicultural.co.uk. There you will find downloadable guides to planting for bees, instructions on how to make bee nesting boxes to help sultry bees, and lots of other ways that you can help bees and other pollinators.